Abatena is his Eyasu, his horse name. Also it characterizes his general name, reigning time. Abatena, it has some intrinsic meaning of him being a womanizer.
Can you explain Eyasu?
Eyasu is the aristocrats. They have a horse name. It's like yeah, the horse name represents. It's a name that is designated to their character. Abba Daño is Minilix. Abba Tatak is Theodros. Abba Bazbaz is Johannes.
How about
Abba
Haile
Takal is who?
Selassie?
Haile Selassie. Abba Bazbaz is because I think is after his campaign to Goja. So I will just focus on his biography. I won't see his what he did in his economic policies, but generally I will focus on his character and his life, so that you can imagine the Ethiopia through his eyes. His lineage is the son of Ras Mikael Ali of Wollo, later king. His mother is Waizawa Shawaraka Minilik. Where was Shawaraka born? Who was her mother? It's a servant of Minilik. Her name is Desta. In the palace. So for a long time, Shawaraka was not recognized by Minilik. It was later on that Minilik accepted her as his daughter, and so he was born in 1901. His father is a descendant of the Prophet Muhammad. Not all. He has both claims from the Solomonic, and that's what Muslims want to become, like to claim to be from the Quraysh tribe or the Hashimis, like the Prophet came from. That's a big deal, right? To have acceptance in the Muslims area in Ethiopia, all in Harar, all of in Sham, all claim, the rulers claim they are descendants of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. So that's the lineage. Abdullah bin Abu Muhammad al-Bakr is the fifth in the descent from the Prophet. I think who came to Ethiopia is not here, but somewhere in the middle during the Omar Walasma of the Ifats. It's that branch of family that went to the Bet Amhara, the Wollo area, and later on, at one point they were Christianized. Later, Imam Ahmed, Quran Ahmed, reinforced the Islamization. They were it was a very strong hold of Islamic center in the middle of Wollo. And then, after 16th century, the Oromo controlled the area, invaded the area, and in the process of their assimilation, they were intermarried with the local, and so it's a mix of an Oromo and this tribe, which has disappeared, or which has shifted. There are so many tribes in Ethiopia that were existing with different names, but not anymore. Like the Damut people, they're not there anymore now. There's Ingojam and Wollo. Harla is now considered being an Afar or Somal, nobody knows. Wajrats in Yeju, Tigray, Wollo. There are many people, so we don't know what their tribe's name was during this time, but the Oromos have dominated the area at that point. So that's Muhammad Ali the father of Lij Eyasu, which is a big deal. Muhammad Ali, he said first, Mikhail was the ruler of the Wollo Oromo clan known as Muhammadu Chiloachol. You know, in Wollo there are two rival families, the Mustawat and the Yeju, and Muhammadu. For a long time, these two rivals were trying to dominate each other. So Muhammad Ali, son of Imam, you see Imam, this title indicates he is the spiritual leader as well. The Imam is given to the person who leads the prayer on the Muslim in the Islam. So Ali Abadullah, this is the title for the Oromo Minister of War. So it's an interesting combination. You have the spiritual thing on your hand, the military on the other, a big good combination. A Muslim noble. So Ras Mikhail had been compelled to convert to Christianity by Emperor Johannes. As we know, Johannes declared the Boromeda to Christianize them, to restore Marcos faith, he called it. That was taken by Ahmed Brain, by the sword. And he said, I will return Christianity by the sword. And to avoid further bloodshed, some of Wollo major nobles converted, and one of them was his father, who became Ras Mikhail. The title Ras was given to him by Johannes for accepting it. And he was given the region of Wollo for that. A long-time friend of and ally of Johannes. He became friends then later on. He was at the emperor's side when Johannes was wounded and died at Matamma. He led the Wollo army towards Sudan. He was the only one who went to Matamma with Johannes actually. Minilik didn't go, Aymanot didn't go. They were on their way. We are on our way, never went. Minilik married then Ras Mikhail to his daughter Shuaraka. So you can see now the importance of Wollo. That's why Minilik has arranged this. This is Mikhail Ali. You can see the love between the father and the son. That's Lij Eyasu. So Wizaro Shuaraka is the son of his mother. Two acknowledged daughters. This is known of her other than she may have been a servant. I've explained that just that. She was married first to the Judge Wadajo governor, Ras Governor Dache. Earlier you saw his marriage. One of his sons married her. And she had a son from Ras Governor Dache. I don't remember his name. But this son, you know, he would have been the next emperor because he is older than Eyasu. But what happened was this guy, he was a dwarf. And the dwarf cannot be a king.
He was disabled.
He's a dwarf. No, the son of Wadajo governor and Shuaraka Minilik. I forgot his name. But you can check it. Here it is. Here's the tourism was next step. His name is Wasan Sakar. Wasan Sakar Wadajo. He was eliminated. I don't know what this means. They used to execute, you know, defected offsprings. Yeah, we don't want a defected gene, you know, to spoil the noble blue blood. Huh? So you avoid it. It's considered like a tumor or like a cancer. Tomorrow the judgment did not last. She was soon married to Ras Mikhail. So after this it didn't work. So Ras Governor, he married to that line that Marco showed earlier. And she again remarried to Ras Mikhail. She produced two children from him, the Lij Eyasu and the daughter, the Zannawork Mikhail. Wazir Shuara died shortly after the birth of her daughter. And Emperor Menelik took his 2 grandchildren to Addis Ababa in Matuman. They used to live in Wallo. So he raised them in Addis Ababa. Sahin, and he was raised in the imperial palace with other children of the blood. Here is where even Ras Makon's son, Ras Dargay's children, Ras Makon's son in Tafari Makon, Ras Dargay's children. Many of the kids came from the palace. They used to be tutored. But interestingly, here his governess was a German girl, a German woman. These mentors have effect on their later political lives and their stands. Her name is Mrs. Hall, half German, and I don't know what the other half is. But this was a big concern for the British and French legations in Addis Ababa, because it was a time of tension of the First World War era, at the eve of it. So they know what mentorship means to get that close to the palace, because it was a French woman that was mentoring Haile Selassie, Tafari Makon. And then you will see how the French influenced his politics. So they were all rushing, like the NGOs were rushing to raise kids, no kids. We have Haile Selassie's kids, you have now. So Zannawork Mikhail was married to the much older Ras Bazab Batak, that's Voja, and went to live with her new husband at Marcos. The young prince died a year later in childbirth. She was very young even. He had big, strong criticism for getting her pregnant. It's almost like a child in fistula. May 18, 1909, Menelik announced his successor to his chiefs and ministers as my son, without mentioning his name. Nazarat Amman, my son, who is my son? And in the palace there are so many children who claim to be his kids. So until October 30, it was ambiguity, and then he specified Eyasu Menelik, Mikhail, and Rasta Samanado as his guardian. But I too didn't want this and that. I think it's part of her game here. His health was declining and he was paralytic. So I too was conspiring to take power. But in March 1910, Abu Namatios and Vitaura Aptagiorgis is this a very big figure in the Menelik's right-hand minister.
Rasta Sama, by the way.
Deposed tied and could control on behalf of Lij Eyasu. What they did, Empress Taitu started to pull her strings from. She has big branch. She has Wallo branch, she has Gondar branch, Bigender branch, Kwara. So she was bringing all her brothers as husband. Kasama died a natural death. He didn't last. That's his guardian in 1910. So check it. The announcement, then the takeover was 1910. 1 year of guardianship.
Even before Tasama died, it's important to note that. Oh,
that's
sorry.
his guardian.
Yeah. That Ayatu was imprisoned. And
yeah, here they deposed her. Her job was to feed Menelik, and Menelik stayed in the palace for a while. Menelik could be me south, and her job was just to feed him. That was her job. And later even, Lij Eyasu didn't have a palace while he was a king, so they had to push them, they had taken them out. By then, Menelik has died, but the news was hidden. And then they ከርቱን ቶቶ ማርያም እዛ ደግሞ ሌላ ድሮ ቤተ መንግስታቸው አለ ከዛ እንዲቀመጡ ተደረገ። Reign of Lij Eyasu starts from April 1911. The two, Mikhail and Fitaura Arpegorgis, were the two powerful men in the empire. Mikhail, because of his paternal rights, he was taking advantage of the vacuum, the power vacuum at this point. Eyasu had no army of his own. All the Shoan chiefs had their own private armies. The son, he is a young kid. You have to have reputations. Your army doesn't build in one day. You make expedition, you get 3,000, another expedition, 10,000. That's how you build your army. At this point, he had no palace to live, or is the palace, there is Minilik in there.
He was a teenager, basically.
He was a teenager. He doesn't know what to say, how to say. That led to less respect from the chiefs. The downfall of the chiefs are, because they are comparing him with this mighty Minilik, Minilik lived in a palace for 30 years. None of his predecessors lived in a palace for long. They were living in a tent because of the war. His time was more peaceful and he had time to build the palace and live in it. So the downfall of Aitu, Buksa, Wale, these are all her cliques. Abada and his alliance with Mikhail and Nato gave him sense of relaxation. Now the major threat is gone, Aitu. Kasama is gone, he died. Georgis and Mikhail were, Georgis was so diplomatic, so you don't know where he stands. And so with Mikhail in his right hand, he found himself in a more relaxed situation, so he started to tour. His whole time was touring. Wallo, Shawa, Jumma, Kafa, Gore, Sobat Valley, this is like in the border of Sudan, at Benishangul area. On these tours, the prince fought and punished rebels. Now, you see here, now he's trying to get some name. He's fighting rebels, rewarding those who pledge loyalty. And he used to reward subjects without religious, cultural, and ethnic discrimination. That gave him, brought him acceptance by the peripheral people, the lowlanders mostly, the Afar, the Benishanguls, the Jimmas, Harar, Ogadian, all. Next. Now Eyasu was consolidating, he was immense power. He gave power to his father. So look, his father started from Wollo, now he took Pegemder. Again he added Gojam, and he crowned him king of Wollo and Tigray. This, he used to have a seal that says Ngus Mikhail, Ngusa Wollo, and Tseon. Tseon means Aksum Tigray. And that brought big fire in the Tigrayan nobilities and a big uprising. And so then he took back that title. So he remained king of. No, actually, well, he gave him. No, he gave him the guardianship of Tigray. But under him, the general was still the nobility of the Tigray. I think. Lasiyum, and there's another Buksa. The two used to partially rule Tigray. But he was the one who oversees. Between May 15 and 15 to September 16, Eyasu toured between northeastern part of Wollo, that is all the way here, the Wollo area, the lowland. He came south to, and he has to Ogaden. Ogaden, I mean, I think that time the border was not that much demarcated, of course, it was Menelik's time then. But I'm sure he had contacts with Somalis because Muhammad ibn Abdullah is a Somali fighter against the Italy invasion. So he had intensive relationship with him in terms of logistics assistance. Sultan Abu Bakr of Afar. These are somehow, in history they are somehow related to him. The Hausa Sultanate is also a descendant of that Mahmudi's Ifats and Olasmas, so part of the branch. This created worries within the church hierarchies, his relationship with the Muslim areas. He used to go around, he eats with them, and Shawan chiefs, whose aim is to build a strong Christian state. The Boromeda will honest attempt was still on top of agenda. That's what Haile Selassie continued, like, to have a strong one nation. It's good to have one, if we speak one language, one religion, and one identity. That was the politics until 1991. So he was against the whole structure, and he was not careful in doing that. He used to insult them at the top, and on top of that, he used to the old chiefs of Shaw.
What else did you say?
When they come to ask him some job, like one Mr. Mata Tuldarin, he used to say that. Mr. And he had personality problems as well with them.
No,
Attitudinal problem. He doesn't respect them. These are, generals that fought Adwa. They are, they have high esteem of themselves. They have new weapons. They are both from French, Italy, British. At that point, they were like, we can rule anything, we can do anything, people. And he's like playing with fire. I don't know where he got the idea. And that shows his naivety in this respect. And he stood on their shoulder. It's their basis that's keeping the empire at this point. Next. His foreign policy comes, I think, from his mentorship and his Islamic tendencies with the Turkish alliance with the Axis powers of the Germans. And he was tend to lean to their side. And King Menelik had for some time been preparing to invade. His father once, they were very harsh on the Italians. They were planning a joint war against the Italians in Somalia and Eritrea at the same time. That's why they were stretching the Italians in Somalia and Eritrea. Actually, this thing had a practical assembly of armies already was assembling to go to Eritrea. Eyasu formed the alliance with Muhammad Hassan. He was fighting against colonialism in northern, this British Somaliland, Italy Somaliland, French Somaliland, the current Djibouti, and of course Eritrea Somaliland, and Eritrea Italiland. Muhammad Hassan is a freedom fighter. He is a Somali chief who moves around in this area to fight. He had wide acceptance by the Somali people. He wanted to.
Was there any connection with the Italian Somaliland? That was the British Somaliland.
The British Somaliland was under the British, and at this point.
Right, but yes, did they have the Italian Somaliland chiefs?
He had this. I think the Muhammad Hassan was like a central figure in the whole freedom fighting of all Somalis against. At this point, these are newcomers: French, Italian, British. So they were fighting all together, all of them all together. And they were not differentiating between them.
Yeah, the Italians were pretty much friendly with everybody else at that time.
Are even newcomers and. But there was no distinction unless there was some. And at the same time, there was this German-Turkish pressure. You know, if he fights war here, they will be obliged to put more force in this area, which will help the French, the Germans, on their battle in Europe. This is like First World War time, so I think that is very closely related to that international wars. His sympathy for Germany, his mentorship, I've told you that the German woman may have also influenced him and told him many stories about German civilization. Princess Yolanda of Savoy, the Italian princess, his expedition towards Eritrea and Somalia was retarded by this woman. There was this Afwork. Was it Afwork? Afwork Gabriel?
Yeah.
Afwork Gabriel was introduced. He brought this picture. He used to live in Italy. He said, "I'll handle this kid and just give me one pretty woman, picture of one pretty woman." He brought this picture to Addis Ababa. He said the Italian monarchy wants to create a stronger nation between Italy and Ethiopia, and this princess belongs to the royal family. That I will finish the arrangement for you. You can marry her and rule from Ethiopia to Italy. So Lij Eyasu was happy. He started to correspond with when is she coming, what shall I send her, what does she like. He sent her some trunks, elephant trunks, and this and that. By then, the Italians were not prepared at that point if he went to Eritrea at that part, but they bought time. In the meantime, they dug his grave behind him. And this didn't work. Afwork went, he said, the war is over. He went to Italy and he said, the war is over. That's what he reported. Afwork was an educated Ethiopian who lived in Italy.
He was married in Italy and had kids, Italian kids and all that.
He was the one who translated the Witch Alewul, who read other version and sent to me, hey, what did you sign here? The Italian version says something else. So,
and then he becomes Lij Eyasy of Ethiopia.
Yeah,
he becomes,
he wasn't that much appreciated by the royalties in Ethiopia.
I mean,
he wants Ethiopia to be civilized, and
he advocated the Italian rulers.
Ruling of Ethiopia.
Where was he from originally?
He's from Eritrea, I think.
Actually, Marcus Garvey, wrote a lot about him, saying, he's
an asshole.
So what do you mean the war was over?
Marcus Garvey wrote about him, saying he's like a traitor. And
Yeah, he was
War is over. Lij Eyasu kneel down to this boy to marry. He's running up and down now to marry the girl instead of doing his job. That's practically happened. Masrot number 7, it really happened. That's part of our history. King Theodorus, the same thing happened with Theodorus. He wanted to marry Queen Victoria and liberate Palestine from the Turkish. Anyways, our exposure to the outside world was very Susinius. His father, he was married to a this Jesuit Catholic woman. She converted into Catholicism, and there was a whole civil war in the country.
Yeah.
Our kings are not the full, no? Okay, so let me go back. The Judge Tafari Makonnen. Okay, here comes now the trouble. Tafari Makonnen, the son of Ras Makonnen, his father died. He was in alliance with Haptagyorks and the Judge Balcha Banofsor. He was a famous warrior. Emerged as the decisive and successful opponent. Now the Shuans were looking for somebody else. Hey, this guy is not. He's way out of. It's not in our interest. He's gonna Islamize the country. Eyasu was sitting in having barcha and everything.
They have Obama like picture of him too.
So they had to find somebody. The next closest person was Tafari Makonnen.
Actually not.
What?
You know
Well, there were others, but Tafari was influential. The Harar force,
was more
Ras
influential.
Makonnen's force, was the next biggest army after Minin.
Ah.
Yeah, and so
That's why he was chosen over like Ras Kasa and
Ras
Ras.
Darge's kids, yeah, Ras Darge's kids were there. But he was active. Haile Selassie was approached by the French. His mentor was a French woman. And his father was also exposed to European civilization. He had once toured Europe. In the Harar area, the French were coming in and out because of the train. So I think he was much advanced for the time and coming and bringing a proposal to the Shah and monarch. Here's my proposal. This guy is, if you elect me, I will do this, this. And he was so smooth. It wasn't until later that his role was even known. He was always behind the curtain when things happen. So Eyasu asked Tafari, he came to Harar. Eyasu was just touring. He came to Harar and he told Haile Selassie to leave his palace. Get out of your palace, I want to stay for some time here. And at that point, even Manun was pregnant when Eyasu told him to leave his place. Haile Selassie just kept his anger and quietly went out. But it didn't last. On September 27, 1916, while Eyasu was conducting tours in Harar, Jiga, Abridahar, the Habur, he goes all over the place. Tafari, he didn't go to where he was told. I think he was told to go to Sidamo or something. Right. But instead, he remained in Addis, doing his job with the chiefs of Addis Ababa, major chiefs. So they finished the whole coup d'etat. Go ahead. This is 10 crimes of Eyasu, what Tafari Makonnen, with the aid of the British and French intelligence services, provided to the assembly. He married 4 women, that's typical Muslim. He spent government money to build mosques in Jijiga, which he did. There's the Eyasu Mosque in Jijiga, now you can visit it. He gave the Ethiopian flag to a foreign consul in Addis Ababa on a Muslim holiday. This is about the Turks National Day. He went to their embassy. On the flag, there's this Ethiopian flag, but on the flag, there is this La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah written in Arabic, like the Saudi Arabian flag. And he presented that to, instead of the Lion of Judah, he presented that to the Turkey consular. And that was pictured, I think, He was seen in worship service in mosque wearing Somali costume. That's true. Even my grandfather remembers. This used to tell us in Haram.
That's
No, this is actually true.
the
The mosque,
Obama cover.
they call it Al Masjid. He used to come there, pray, even lead a prayer. Not only
Really?
praise, just like his grandfather, he used to lead a prayer. He was seen reading Quran. I'm sure he reads the Quran. He was raised in his father's house. And they were not totally converted to Christianity.
Yeah, so
Those people in Wallo, all of them were underneath doing.
Closet Muslims.
Because even now, and to this day, the most Islamic centers are in Wallo. The teaching like the most centers. So if those guys were converted, they would have destroyed all this. But the structures were not touched.
So what do you say about Ras Mikhail? How, to what degree was he still Muslim?
I'm sure he has never been Christian. Because he's the son of Imam, his strength in his lineage and the support he has with his people. He led, like, well, you will see like how Wallos were supporting him.
And
And
yeah,
so,
how
he
did
is
they,
an Oromo, he has the Abadullah title. So there is no point of him being loyal to Christianity. You know, when Johannes is gone, Menelik is gone, why would he?
What was
The whole point of being Christian is to avoid problem.
But was he? Could you say he was Muslim? Different.
Because this guy was reading Quran, he was raised as a Muslim. This guy, what we are seeing here is.
But these are accusations.
These are accusations.
Well, there are photograph pictures and actual deeds as well. His bodyguards wore uniforms with an Islamic banner. Whenever he goes to, there are these Muslim with the safes and you know.
الناس كانتين يمطوا is that the Libyans?
The Turks, the Turkish, they put the tarbush and
But they're like the
his bodyguards.
Can Libya يمطوا mercenaries, right?
The Trombules. I asked the Ammar.
Said no?
Yeah.
Doesn't know.
He restored a church land to Muslims in Harar after 32 years. Yeah, you know, when these captured territories, the land is taken. Half of it is given to the church, some of it to the Naftanias, some of it and to the peasants. So he was returning back the land, saying, this is illegal, this is... So he was making people happy, and he gave his daughter to a Muslim guardian. He traced his genealogical origin to the Prophet in rejection of his Solomonic origin, which we saw. So he must have been proud of it. Wherever he goes in public, he says, I'm the son of the Prophet. On the day when Menelik died, he was playing Faras books in Jamil. Even while he was playing, they came and they told him, Menelik Arfo and the Idros.
Then they were actually saying he was doing that because to Hizbun Dayak and Ragaga to show that everything is going as normal. Or I don't know.
Well, it's the interpretation. It's just like when the Twin Towers were here. These are accusations, but
Selective accusations.
Selective accusations everything brought at the same time. His ability entirely relied on his Menelik's ministers. Of course, he is the king. He didn't care. His father, actually, it was just a technical mistake. Actually, he would have won the whole war and silenced everything. Because if he had time, he could have called the whole allegiance from the Muslims. They had broader, the Tigrayan nobilities were for him. His father, Mikhail, was the strongest at that point. So I don't think he was that much afraid of his ability to continue.
He was never crowned. Why was he never crowned?
He said there's a...
He crowned his father, but he never crowned.
Yeah, he said I don't want to be crowned. Call me Lij. His wish, that's his wish.
But if he was crowned, maybe the war would have been avoided and he would have been the ruler.
He's crowned when Hassan Manado took guardianship. That time, it was declared that Menelik is a Moxit of the future king.
But
And
I mean that's like he's bequeathing his land to him. Then he's not he was not crowned the way Lamsale Emperor Menelik.
Oh, you mean the ceremonial crown?
The ceremonial crown, like with the church coming and verifying your crown. You know, it's
Well,
like a combination.
When
of
he was crowned, well, there was of course, there was some protocol. I don't think there's a big kubjam or like the Tafari thing was arranged by the Europeans, by the way. It was important to show a big drama.
Yeah.
But here, the formalities. Abuna Matheos crowned him.
Oh,
Yeah,
so he was crowned.
The Georgis and Abuna Matheos
Really?
ratified his. And they didn't oppose his kingship, but until this point, that's why they accepted his ways, because they know he's a king.
So he was emperor.
Yeah, he pushed Menelik right out of, and he came in the Gilpi, Menelik's Gilpi. So he was Emperor Eyasu.
Even the nobility had to go to the patriarch at the time to get permission, you know, in order to rebel against him. Because when Menelik died,
There's a patriarch. There's an oath of allegiance that to be loyal to him, and the patriarch does that. All are paid that loyalty oath, and they went now to beg the Abuna, like, please release that Yauradu limit to me. So he was legitimate. The other point was there was one point I forgot. Okay, go ahead.
next.
The fall is when there was a big chiefs from all over the place. This big, from one like that, they came. And after Georgis, it's Sarasawacho in Gilpi. And the assembly deposed Eyasu. After this thing was read in front of the council, the 10 things, it was like a procedure, a drama. And then the assembly deposed Eyasu while he was in Harar. And then they made Zodi to empress. And then Jazma Tafari Ras, regent and heir. Why would you put her hair when you have a young woman coming to the throne? Oh, this shows Tafari's influence already. You don't say hair when the young girl is just coming to power.
It's also argued, you know, Tafari, he was considered to be more in line with the conservatives. Of course, that's why they chose him. And at the same time, he was considered to be the most, probably the one that they could control the most. It's not necessarily he was manipulating things, because he's still young.
Well, that one is the regency.
Yeah. And
Al-Mulu Sultan in Darasi.
good. You know, the thing, what happened was, while he was a regent, that's how he consolidated his power. Just before that, Habta Georgis was running the country.
Right, that's a good point.
Yeah. Because then she was not doing anything. Empress Zawdita was just sitting there. She was a figurehead because she's a Menelik daughter, and she was completely powerless. And Habta Georgis, when he died, that's when Haile Selassie becomes power.
Habta Georgis cannot grow more than Fitaurari.
Then he's like he
already went open, he manipulated.
he was in control.
Still not a nobility.
That's
He
why.
has to have some nobility with him.
That's the point. That's why he had Rastafari, who he can control easily.
Exactly.
In as heir and regent.
That's true.
Good.
I mean, there is a part of Habta Georgis' interest,
Yeah.
but he's underestimating
Tafari,
at the same
exactly, and Tafari becomes
Because
smarter.
Habta Georgis later said, ቁጭ ብለን ያስቀመጥነውን ብቅል ቆመን ማውረድ አቃተን። That was to Tafari, because he deposed after Georgis after he took the power, because that was the remaining person. So Abuna Matthias and Lij were the Georgis. Abuna Matthias is Egyptian, by the way.
Is Lij Eyasy title?
Lij Eyasy is the Ethiopian next Christian title. It's given to an Ethiopian from Debre, Libanus. አቃቢ ሰዓት የሚባለው ደግሞ ለደብረ ሐይቅ ገዳም ነው።
ኢትዮጵያን አቦን እሱ ነው ማለት ነው።
አስተርጓሚም ምንም የኢትዮጵያን ኢንተረስት የሚከታተሉት እኚህ ናቸው።
He is the head of the Ethiopian.
እኚህ ደግሞ this one dictates the flow of the Nile.
And the Chege plays an important role later on in the crowning of Haile Selassie as Nugus, right?
Yeah.
Not emperor, but Nugus.
Yeah, Haile Selassie actually stopped bringing of armies from Alexandria. So now all to Tafetta, so now they can do whatever to Lij Eyasu. Eyasu would have won, you know, if he met his father first. His father was in Wallo, he was in Harar. There is this big force in Shaw on the mountains, so he had to go taking the lowlands of Afar, Danakil, Hausa desert to go to Wallo, like with the Afar and the Zine. And now, I don't know why he wasted time. If he got time to rally the men Shawan part. Michael was mad, he was spontaneous, and he led like a 50 to 60,000 army of Wallo, and he marched to Shaw. Shawans, they bought time, so the French, they bought new machine guns from Djibouti, this Masaria, like new brands, a new generation of guns. And now they were calling their troops, their warriors, their armies from Wallaga, 15,000 men came. From Bale, 8,000 men. From Kambata, 8,000 men. They were all collected. And in the meantime, Ras Michael was in Ankober. And here comes that what Marcos told. Next. In the meantime, to retard his coming to Addis, Tafari dispatched 5,000 army. Around Ankober Tora, Mikhail destroyed about 4,800 out of 5,000 that was dispatched. That was Lul Sagar, by the way. Ras Lul Sagar was the one who married
Menon's third husband.
Exactly. So, and now he has this victory in his hand. Now, the next march was by Fidel Reapta Georgis at Sagale. Until then, he was manipulating him. I'm on your side, and now and then, but at this point, also, I think Mikhail was also waiting for his son, Lij Eyasu. Because when I see the route that he took, what is he doing in Ankober, you know? If you see the Wallo to Addis Ababa road, you don't take that impossible terrain when you can go in a faster and.
Let me call you back in a little.
The only reason that could for him, because Eyasu is somewhere in the lowland.
I can't talk
and Ankober is a tip of the mountain where you can govern the whole lowland. And I feel like Eyasu was supposed to come from the lowland around the Baro. Sinan and Dalaf Kyalo Agab. Afarna, Shawarwid area, that's the link, you know, with the Afar mountain. And now I feel like there is like a strategical direction that he took. So at Sagale, by now they are prepared. 20,000 warriors with the captive Mikhail on foot. and in chains. Hey, እንዳለው ነው ማርቆስ እንትና ኃይለ ሥላሴ ተፈሪ with big army in Addis Ababa, ትልቅ celebration using his car. Michael was in chain. በባዶ እግራቸው እየተጎተቱ ኮርባ እየተገረፉ ድንጋይ ተሸክመው was passing. And an European eyewitness said Michael's chain and treatment made us all feel a bit sick. So, እንደዚህ አውቆ ነው ያዋረዱት። like ያንን የእሳቸውን የሚያስብ ሆፕፉል የነበሩ ሁሉ. The new government was formed and recognized by Italy, France and Great Britain right away. Zewditu was crowned later in 1970. Tafari was confirmed as regent and heir to the throne. Eyasu, at this point, he came to Afar. His father is already defeated. Like about some year, I think, 2 or 1 year. Then he established a command center in Magdala, where Theodros. አልታገደሉም በቼን የተጎተቱ ገቡ አባቴ አዲስ አበባ እስር ቤት ውስጥ ነው እንዴት እንደሞቱም አይታወቅም ራስ ተፈሪ sent a massive expedition led by 4 warlords under Habte Giorgis. Lij Eyasu suffered defeat. Now he escaped back to Afar and he stayed there for about 2 years in remote territory. Then he came to Tigray and stayed there from 1919 to 21 for about 2 years between Ras Gugsa and Ras Siyum. So like this brings me trouble, like let him stay with you, and like that and at the same time they are hoping if we have him, there might be a chance. But Rastafari demanded immediate. Now there's nobody who likes Eyasu at this point. The Italians want his downfall. They are here on Eritrea. His presence around here is even not appreciable. So they were pressuring from Haile Selassie. Haile Selassie demanded Ras Siyum to bring him. He's up and Juniza Disavanditmata. But Ras Siyum was in limbo. He doesn't know what to do. Then Eyasu escaped in Sisamu Eyasu. He escaped, tried to go to Sudan through somewhere, but was captured by Ras Gugsa because በእጃቸው የነበረ ሰውዬ like 2 years in their hand አመለጠ ቢባል ሰው ምን ይላል so Ras Gugsa finally he got him and he too wouldn't pass him and then Tafari summoned Shawan warriors from Wallagga, Kullo, Walamo, Sidamo, Bale, Har about 60,000 men ወደ ትግራይ ዘመቻ ተጀመረ because of the huge imbalance of power. These have new guns and these are armed men, He ordered Ras Hailu again, on top of that, to join the expedition with 20,000 armed men, so 80,000 here. Al-Satamal, Ras Gugsam, Eyasu. So, then, under the threats of the wars, Ras Gugsa betrayed Lij Eyasu. He gave him the Sierra Pasra Kawach. So, June 11, 1921, Ras Siyum himself submitted to Rastafari. Because of this, Ras Siyum himself was, under target. So, he gave his hand. He was in prison. And he died, I think, in prison, no? Ras Siyum, what happened to Ras Siyum? Ras Siyum Mangasha. Oh, and later he was released. Okay.
He actually gets married to...
So
intermarried again.
Later on he was again back. Lij Eyasu was sent to Salale Fiche in prison. in Fiche, Tasraw, there was a plot to, now, after several years, Italians want to capture, invade Ethiopia now. Again, they want Eyasu. So, his sister was married to Ras Hailu of Gojam, and so Ras Hailu was the one who was manipulating to get him out from prison. An Italian plane came, landed in Addis Ababa, and was waiting for him for about 3 weeks. At that point, Eyasu was supposed to come out of prison, take him to Asmat. But it failed. By the time he came, the plane was already left because they were suspected this guy is up to something. The pilot was complaining, I have some technical problem, Yala. He was trying to fly sometimes. Later on, he had to go. And it failed.
Italians didn't like you.
At first, yeah. And now the shifted again.
They're about to invade Ethiopia as well.
Now these Italians are now to a higher objective. So he came to the place, nobody was there. He continued to go jam and smart. He was captured at Gohatsion again before he passed Deja. Back again to this time worst place in Garamullat, I think, in Harar. And Ras Hailu even itagattamo Hodeus go to እንዴት አድርጌ that was Fiche Salah. Wow. Okay, this picture is that of Lij Eyasu. In Garamulata, he lived for a while in the Kumusranya Nagar. Garamulata is few kilometers away from Harar. So he used to come to Harar because of a news guy. By then he was completely Muslim. So you can see him with the Harari nobilities. You see his dress, it's a Muslim dress here. Emperor of Turkey, Abdullah al-Sadiq. This is the Abdullah al-Sadiq is the son of Emir Abdullah of Harar, who was defeated by Menelik.
Who's that?
He's one of the family nobility.
I see.
Yeah. With the family nobility. He actually married from, Eyasu married from this family. From Kadare Agapuna to Seljuk. Yeah, he has one. Next. So Eyasu's kids, or claimants, Adam Sahai, the only legitimate great-granddaughter of Menelik II. Amma bet White Avlo virus last again, she was out of politics, she was confined to religious and then political activities. And so Hayaslas used to like so Amma bet White Marag Naparach. Lij Eyasu, he is the Sultan of Jimma and Abajfar. He led a guerrilla band of soldiers against the Italians when Italians invaded Ethiopia, and corresponded regularly with the exiled emperor, with Tafari by the end of the year. This won him a degree of favor from the emperor, and when Haile Selassie returned to Addis in triumph on May 5th, 41, Lij Eyasu was riding in an open car, alone, immediately behind the emperor. The ceremony number was Miyazi Hasavat. So this you can tell that he was next to the emperor, his level. But Haile Selassie was not, at that point he was smiling with him. Later on he was caught conspiring to plot against Tafari, Haile Selassie. So he was taken out of the court of Jimma. Jimma is Tachonamba. So later nobody knows what happened to him. Lij Menelik Eyasu was the son of Eyasu by the Afar Sultan. He lived quietly. Tajura Tajura is in Djibouti. There's a big sultan of Afar. The Afar sultanates are three. One is in Hausa, one is in Tajura, one is in somewhere in Eritrea. And so this family accepted this guy, and he was living with them. And occasionally he used to serve Emperor Tafari to deal with the affairs, the Arabojka. He was an ambassador later on, an ambassador of Ethiopia to Yemen or some Middle East country. Lij Eyasu was the boy of 16. I need he was in even in the monastery. He was a dedicated Bahatawi. Oh no, monastery in Oruna. Then the Armenians, they wanted to unify the guerrilla, the freedom movement, the one that was led by Ras Abba Baragai. They went and asked the monastery, Abun, like, give us this kid, Eyasu's kid, we need him. The country is out of crown and we need one crown to unite us.
One of the versions, is totally instructive. He did not name any of his kids a Muslim name. This may suggest
even they are born from Muslim.
He may have
exactly.
prevailed.
Exactly. They didn't want to give this boy, but at last they forced it. They took the boy from the monastery and took him, and they crowned him. Emperor of Ethiopia below, they really crowned him around Zuwaya Kawabi to crown him.
Some rebel people?
The major,
Wow.
And then the Italians learned about his existence. After they silenced the more or less the war, this was the next biggest war after they conquered Ethiopia. They called him the Little King. Who was this Little King? Let's find him. And they had a big fight around Mojo, between Mojo and Zoai, and they destroyed the whole army. They killed this boy. And they escaped. They went back to North Shore.
Actually, isn't it the little king that made Barambara Sabba Baragai Ras?
Exactly. Barambara Sabba Baragai was rust by
this
Malaga Sahai, and Haile Selassie, of course, didn't touch his title. Like most of the Nabalai, they were naming their subordinates, Ras, the Jalmaj, Krasmaj. And when Haile Selassie asked him, what do you want me to do for you? He said, I don't want, but don't touch what I gave to my title. Don't touch my titles that I gave to my people. And he said, okay, I will leave them, but if you name all these Krasmaj, the Jalmaj, what do you want to become? That's Ashmur, so you want to become a king. And Balai, he said, my mother has called me Balai. I don't need any other name. That was a big reply, and Haile Selassie was offended. But anyway, he was rasped by and
Balai means up.
Up, yeah. Higher. So on the Balambara Sabawaragai, they went to uncover this way, and some of them joined the Rasuduki to the West Shore, and Marcos' grandfather. So Amba Aradam የተባለ ቦታ ላይ ነው የተሾሙት። እቺ ቦታዋን አላወቋትም። Next. End of slideshow. So these are